Hey folks, just a quick pre-note. We're going to be actually writing an app. You guys are going to watch us do that, and we want you to participate as well. So my recommendation is that you go to aka.ms/app in a day. Again, that's aka.ms/app in a day. And you can actually download all of the documentation, all of the data sources, Excel spreadsheets, etc., that we're going to be using today while we create this app. Without further ado, on with the show. Hey, Anitra, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Lex?
It's now the pressure's on. Parker did such a great job.
Yeah, he laid it on thick.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I have total faith in you, and I know you're just going to kick butt and take names.
All right, let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Anitra Jackson.
Awesome. So good morning. Well, it might not be morning when you watch this, but just to reiterate who I am, I'm a business applications technical specialist at Microsoft. I have served some of the federal customers, and today I'm actually going to take you through how to build an app. So this is our Power Apps homepage here. So on this page, you can see, there's Canvas apps, model-driven apps, portals, all the different aspects that Parker had previously talked to you about. So today what we're going to build is a Canvas app, and I'm going to first show you the finished project before we actually build it. So this is our device ordering app, which is actually a training that we've got from our product group that we actually give to our customers to help them build it out. So today I'm going to walk you through it step by step about how to build this awesome looking application. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to come into our portal here, and we're going to go ahead and click our Canvas app from blank. We're going to go ahead and give it a name because I already have one built with that device ordering name 1. I'm going to give this one name 2. So we're going to go ahead and do a device ordering app 2. I'm going to do a tablet, so it's a bigger screen. You can do a phone, but it's just going to be meant for a smaller screen. So I'm going to go ahead and press create. Now this is going to take us to what we have is called our canvas. And on our canvas is actually where we will build our Power App. So we use the word canvas because it's a blank canvas where you're able to, just like to be the artist and throw your paint, your colors, whatever you want to make your application. So I'm going to go ahead and press skip because I don't need to walk through it, but you guys are more than welcome to walk through it. So this is, our main screen here. So right now I'm going to, let's change this name to main screen. So naming conventions are very important in Power Apps. So if you put a space, just like how if you were coding, you would need to actually, reference that later by using quotes. So we're going to go ahead and keep everything as one word. So I'm going to make this our main screen. As you see, instantly updates. The next thing that, I'm going to do, let's go ahead and put in a title. So we're going to go ahead and press our insert. I'm going to go ahead and press a label. Going to go ahead, make it a little bigger, make it expand out to how we need it to be. Going to go ahead and change the text up here in the text bar. So this is the formula bar up here, very similar to Excel, how it looks. You can go ahead and change it literally to what you want to say. So I'm going to give us our app, our title here. Awesome. So as you see now, the name on the title, the label instantly changed. So let's go ahead and let's center this. Let's also, I like pretty colors, so let's go ahead and give it a background. And let's go ahead and change that font color to white so it's a little better to see. Awesome. And let's now go ahead and center this. So as you see, just that simple. Now we have a lovely label to go across the top of our screen. So next thing that we're going to do is that we're actually going to go ahead and put some more things on this canvas. So the first step I wanted to highlight really quickly is that we're going to insert another label. And this will actually be to serve as our username. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to hello. We're going to use the user formula. So I'm going to go ahead and put in do user. And the great part about Power Apps, see how it's already thinking for me? Awesome. We love that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the full name. What this formula is actually doing, as you see, I'm logged in as the administrator here. What it will actually do is go ahead and give you the name of the user logged in for this application. Let's go ahead and change this font to white though, so it comes in a little clearer. Awesome. And let's go ahead and move it to the other side. So just by dragging and dropping, it's already on the other side. So the next thing that we're actually going to do here is you see that now we have our label here in the middle. We have our user coming in. Just because I'm going to make sure that this saves, I'm going to go ahead and do a save. So very similar to how Microsoft works. Microsoft Word is, just go ahead and save. And Microsoft, we love the cloud. So we're going to go ahead and save this to the cloud. So it's going through our save now. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and back to the canvas. So there's one thing that I wanted to point out quickly as we go through. This up here is called a solution checker. And the solution checker will actually tell you if there are any errors as you go through your Power App. So let's go ahead and get back to our canvas. So what you can actually do now that you're going through your Power App and that we've actually gone ahead and saved is that our next step is that we're going to add a gallery. So a gallery is actually a way where you can display different objects or different items within your Power App and actually have a picture or image associated with those items. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a horizontal gallery. Awesome. So now it comes up in Latin, but that's okay. So now you see like how this is kind of similar to how our end product is going to look. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to center this with our application. Now we need a data source. So right now you see over here on the right-hand side that our data source is actually listed to none. What we want it to actually be listed to is I'm going to pull in our data, which is actually going to come in from an Excel file. But you can actually bring in the data from any data source that you want, whether it's with Microsoft or without Microsoft. So we even do things with our competitors. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead.
I've got a quick question for you. Can you import data from text files or from websites as well?
You can, but you would just have to make sure that it's in a format that it represents. So, okay. Yeah, I haven't never personally done it, but I'm sure you could do it. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my device ordering data. I'm going to go ahead and bring that in. So it's going to ask me out of this data, it recognizes I have two different tables. I want both of these tables in this app. So I'm going to go ahead and press connect. And it's going to go ahead and update for me.
Hey, can you show us the Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah, let me go ahead and open that. So let me show you the Excel spreadsheet. So we're going to open that up. It's opening now.
Okay.
It's taking a little longer than expected, but it is opening. Okay, let me drag this one over. If it'll let me drag it over to my second screen here. Awesome. So this is our Excel spreadsheet that we're actually pulling in the data from. So here you see, that, go ahead and close that over. So here you see the different, columns, our device IDs, our manufacturer. So all of these are going to be pulled in. So that's why I asked for the different tables here. So down here, I have the manufacturer's table as well as my devices table. So Power Apps is recognizing the data that's being pulled in and using this data to kind of go ahead through and give me the data that's provided for here. So this Acer Aspire 1, if you go to your Excel spreadsheet, it's also in here. So this just kind of shows you how it's kind of built in together. So I'm going to go ahead and back to my canvas.
That's cool. That's really cool. And I love the way that it pulled the pictures in, because the pictures were really just a string in the spreadsheet, right? It was just a URL.
Just a straight URL, yep. And Power Apps already knew to pull that in and do the image, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Love it.
Yep. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select here. I'm going to go to items, make sure that it says devices here. And then I'm going to go ahead and arrange my device gallery how I want it to look. So I'm going to expand this because right now we're not showing all our devices. So let's go ahead and make this a little better. Hit the whole gallery here. Let's go ahead and expand it, make it a little bigger. As we see, let's kind of resize this to make it a little better. So we're going to go over here. We're going to resize this to, let's do 300, but not 3000. And let's come over here and do this with 80. Press enter. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and come here. And I totally apologize for if you can hear the sound in the background. I guess they decided to do construction right now. Awesome. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and do that. Yep.
We've had worse. Don't worry about that. We've had much worse on the show.
Good to know. But there won't be any dogs barking at least, so that's actually good. Awesome. So let's go ahead and update this width here, just to make it look a little bit smaller. Let's go ahead and put this in a 623. Okay, cool. So now what I'm also going to do, I'm going to go ahead and click my edit pencil icon. And basically what this does, it lets me edit the aspects of the gallery. So I'm going to go ahead and make these a little bit smaller so I can go ahead and see some more of the devices. So see, as I shrink it, more of my devices instantly show. So the next thing that I'm going to do is that we're actually going to insert another gallery so we can see some of the manufacturers that are for these devices. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and move this over here so we can have some more room. We're going to go insert. We're going to do another gallery, but this time instead of the horizontal gallery, we're actually going to do a vertical gallery. Awesome. And see, because I had already loaded that Excel spreadsheet in, it's instantly asking for what we want. So this time, let's choose this manufacturing data. And the format isn't perfect right now, but don't worry because we're going to go ahead and change that.
Yeah, no, I think this is awesome. I think the thing that I especially like is that really what you're defining the UI and the data is all coming out of the spreadsheet. So you don't have to do things like define how we handle the data. There's a lot of stuff that just seems to automatically happen in the background.
Exactly. So this way, people who aren't super technical can still go ahead and have, the aspects of being able to build an application. So I'm going to go ahead, because I have two galleries here. Let's go ahead and do some renaming over here so I don't get confused. Because like how I said before, naming conventions are very important. So let's go ahead and change this to manufacturer gallery. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead, well, it would help if I could spell, but let's change that one more time. Okay, and then let's go ahead and change this gallery 1. I'm going to make this my device gallery, just so I know later on which gallery is which. So instantly now everything has changed and updated. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to actually go into our properties tab for this gallery here. So there's two ways that you can actually click on a gallery. You can actually click it by clicking on the actual image here, or you can come over here and click on it from the tree view. So by clicking on the tree view, if I go to properties over here, it tells you what the data source is that is feeding this, which is great because that way you can keep track of what data sources you have, the fields that you're using, all of those great things. So by coming over here, I can see that, okay, I'm pulling in that manufacturer's data. I'm going to go ahead and change my layout though, because I don't want it to be image, title, and subtitle. I actually just want it to be 2 columns. So let me go ahead and scroll down to the 2 columns. And as you see, things go ahead and change. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come to our wrap count, which is here. I'm going to make that 1. As you see now, we're just showing the 1 image. The next thing that I'm going to go is go to our image control and kind of go ahead and reduce the size of these images. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink this, just to make sure that I can see, more of the different manufacturers that are coming in. The next aspect that I'm going to do is just really quickly, we're going to go ahead and save again. We love saving. Sometimes Power App saves automatically, sometimes it doesn't. So it's always good to press save. Save is very good to do. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and come into our manufacturer gallery. Make sure that's selected. And you're going to know that from this drop down here are several different items that you can push. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the image because right now it's showing the outdoor headquarters of each of these items, but I want it to show, the actual label. So as you see, you can either do two ways. You can scroll through this long list and look for images, or you can just go ahead and type it in. In the wrong place. Sorry about that. So we're actually going to go here. Sorry. Image. Here we go. And with this image, I'm actually going to go ahead and change it instead of this dot headquarters to the logo. It's already using AI to pre-populate it. And now you see how that went from the headquarters logo to the actual brand logo for each of those different manufacturers. So let's go ahead and, let's change some of these positions to fit better. So I'm going to come back over here to where it says, the image position. And if we go to the image position here, right now we're doing fill, we're actually going to do a fit. So by doing that, it shrinks the image to give me a better size. So now let's kind of do a fill, a template fill, which is actually a property that you go in through the manufacturer gallery. So I'm going to get my manufacturer gallery. I'm going to come over here and scroll through my properties. And I'm going to look for my template fill. So here's my template fill. I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to put in a conditional statement here. So let's go ahead and do if this item and see how, it's giving you some options, but I want to do it so when the item is actually selected. So I'm going to go ahead and do if this item dot, and we're going to do is selected. And it'll start to think for you as you type through here. So yeah, there we go. It always gives you a way to check to make sure your code is right. And then you're going to go ahead and do your color fade. There it is, pre-populating for me again. And then I'm going to do this header label. So that's giving me the label for each and every one of these logos. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that they're filled. And then we're going to do 75%. And then let's go ahead and finish out our exclamation point. That it did our header label. Awesome. Okay. So now that we have that in there, we have to make sure that everything isn't complaining. Oh, I do have an error. Let's see what it's complaining about. For my form screen, my template fill. So it's because of my naming convention here. So I need to make sure that I change this image. So we're going to come into our label here. So I forgot to show you guys this earlier, but make sure that you rename it because remember I said naming conventions are really, really important. So because before I was trying to do heading 1, make sure that you go ahead and change this to header label. So the way that you would actually do that is just go ahead here and type in header label and go ahead and press enter. And because I did that, now if I come back into my template fill, I'm pre-populating my header label here. There's no error. We're good to go. So this is what this is doing here is basically that this is telling the whole gallery that when it's selected, that it's going to actually fill this template 75%. So let's go ahead and we're actually going to do some filtering, which is really awesome and really cool. Well, I think all of this is really awesome and really cool, right, Lex?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I'm having a blast.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead into our device gallery here. I'm going to make sure that my items, I'm on the items tab here. And with this property, I'm actually going to make sure that apply a filter here so that when I select, a different item, that it actually filters to that item. So we're going to make sure that we have our device gallery selected. Make sure that, you're in your items and then come into here into your formula bar. And we're going to type in a filter. So as you do the filter, right? You see that it's going to say pre-population. What do you want to do? Go ahead and click devices. I'm going to do a comma here. We're going to do our manufacturers. Manufacturer ID. Nice pre-population done for us. And we're going to set this equal to the manufacturer gallery that's selected. So go ahead and you see, boom, everything's getting nice and pre-populated for us. Go ahead and do our selected here. Love it. Love how it pre-populates everything. And then last, do your manufacturer ID. Awesome. And then we're going to go ahead and close out those parentheses. As you see, no errors. My gallery's here. So for instance, if you ever get stuck, this solution checker here is your best friend. It lets you know, which one, if you have any errors in your project, it'll let you know. So let's go ahead now. We're going to configure some text labels for these galleries. So we're going to go into our device gallery. We're going to go ahead and select Title 1. As you see right now, everything's saying Acer, Acer, Acer. But let's kind of, make sure that it says the actual item of it. So right now it's saying this item.device name. We're going to go ahead and change that to actually to do the title instead. So we're going to keep it this item kind of, and with the dot, which is very similar to our project, to our to coding in Java and so we're going to go ahead and change this into title instead. So we're going to do our dot and it'll probably go ahead and guess it for me. So now you see how the titles have now updated. So instead of saying each of the individual, Acer, 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 now it's actually giving me the actual title of each of these different devices.
Yeah, I love Intellisense. I love the way that works.
I know, and it just gives you so much more confidence too. Like when you're doing it, you're like, am I doing this right? I love when it pre-guesses for you,
Well, it does a couple of things. Number one, it shows you all of the labels that are available, so there's no guessing. And then it also it prevents like some coding mistakes, right? It's easy to misspell a word or and it kind of helps it helps prevent all of that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So our next step is that we're actually going to go ahead and change some of these subtitles here. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that we select our subtitle in our gallery here. So right now it's giving the name of each of it. So it's the Aspire You all in one. But I want it to actually be a price. So what I'm going to do is come in here to the subtitle and I'm going to go into color. So let's go ahead in here to be color. Right, and to go in here. So right now, it's just doing the generic. We're going to do this. If we're going to go ahead and do our price. Price is greater than 1,000. Then we want to want this to be red. Orange, red. And then if not, it'll gray it out. I'm going to take my space out. Up. Awesome. So now that we have that in there, looks like we're complaining about another error. Let's make sure. For our subtitle here, I think I need to make sure that our items are doing a price. So let's make sure we have that down here. Okay, so let's go ahead and make sure that our items are doing our price. So I'm going to go ahead and come into our text for this one. So go ahead and scroll to text or type it in, whichever you prefer. And right now, so it's device type. So I'm actually going to do this.item.price first. So I want to show you guys how this will now pull the price in. So before, remember how it was that number? So now it's pulling it in as the price. But I actually want it to have some more numerical digits, some commas, all the way that, we recommend, the way that we see currency. So what I'm actually going to do is I actually have this formula pre-populated. So I'm going to come in here and do text, open parenthesis, this item.price. We're going to go ahead and put comma, quote. And this is the part where it looks a little strange, but Power Apps recognizes it. So we're going to do a bracket, our dollar sign, and for English, US dollar. Close our bracket, money sign.
So the hashtag, is that the number of digits before the 0 or before the period?
Yeah, and I need to put another comma in here too, just to make sure that it recognizes it. So there's 2 ways to do it. So when you guys actually do it, you could actually cheat and just copy and paste it from our free documentation that we get it. But I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that we have our lovely hashtags.
Hey, one more question. I think that the error message you got was because, and just correct me if I'm wrong, right? I could be completely off base, but I think it was because you had referenced price but didn't have price defined yet. Is that what it was? Okay.
Yep. And you're 100% correct. So, yep, and it's still complaining about that. So let me go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and fix that. Yep, so right here, we need to make sure I go through that we're doing the if statement. We have our price. Awesome. Yep. And now you see that when the price is actually over, it went into the 1900. And the way that I fixed my error is I was doing price, but I need to do this item.price. So because of Intellisense, it helped me to fix my error. And now we're good and we're back to go. So now we see that the prices that are over $1,000 are highlighted. So for that way, we know that those are the laptops that if we were booking, we need to stay away from. So I know we're going to go ahead because I love to save my work just in case anything happens. Going to go ahead and press save again. And now we're going to get ready and add some checkbox to do some compares. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller to help me out here. I'm going to go ahead and move this over again. So as you see, you can always resize, size, however you want it to do. All of that is your freedom to kind of go ahead and do whatever you want. So let's go ahead in here and we're going to go ahead and select our device gallery. I'm going to go ahead and select my pencil here. So by selecting my pencil, I'm actually able to edit each of these individual items. So I'm going to go ahead and put a filter on these as well. So now I'm making sure that my filter is doing my filter devices dot manufacturer ID up here. So basically this is making sure that it's going to filter through. I had to make sure that it selects the first item in the gallery is selected. That's also a good way to check it to make sure that you're filtering on each individual item. But let's go ahead and insert a checkbox into this gallery. So with the device gallery selected, I'm going to go ahead and insert a checkbox. So that's actually from our controls tab. So we're going to come in here and we're going to go ahead and scroll through. And you see, I'm going to go ahead and select a checkbox. So now we have this option that is now selected on each of our items. You can move this down. So let's say if I wanted to come down here instead, now they all kind of move down. And we're going to go ahead and change this instead of being, just option. Let's make this our compare. So going up into your formula bar, make sure that this says text and go ahead and type in compare. And now each of those buttons and checkboxes have now updated to say compare. So the next step that we're actually going to do is we have to create a collection. So a collection is a way where it kind of stores the data that's taken in from making different selections on the screen. So by making sure that I have my checkbox selected, I'm going to go ahead and go to on check. So basically when this is saying that when this person checks this box, I'm going to create a formula to do the behavior that I want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and type in on check because I don't feel like scrolling. Yep, there it is. Right now it's doing false, so it's not doing anything. But what I wanted to actually do is I wanted to go ahead and collect all these items into a collection so I can display it on another screen. So let's go ahead and do collect. And then we're going to go ahead and do a compare list. Okay. And we're going to do it for item. And then we are going to go ahead and close out our parentheses. Perfect. Now we need to do our uncheck behavior. So we're going to go ahead one more time. I'm going to go ahead and go to my uncheck. Scroll on through. There we go. So this is for when I am unchecking it. This will tell the behavior that I want to do. Right now, when it's set to false, that means it's not really doing anything. So we're going to go ahead, and I wanted to actually remove the items that are being compared. So let's go ahead to remove. We're going to do our compare list function again. All right, nice pre-population there for us. And then we're going to do this item. And then go ahead and close out your parentheses. Awesome. So let's go ahead and now let's change the default items for this. So what is this doing, even when it's not checked or unchecked? So I'm going to make sure that for default, I'm going to go ahead and scroll through from my default. This also is alphabetized too, which makes it great. And we're going to go ahead and set our default value to this item. Yep, I'm going to go ahead and plug it in our compare list. So we're going to use that compare list function again. Great. So basically by selecting this, it's like a Boolean for doing like true or false. So by doing the default, basically you're saying like if nothing by default, this checkbox should not be selected. So let's say, did you want to go ahead and check your work? You can always first, save. And the great part about the platform is that you can actually check it while you go, which is kind of cool. So you can actually play it right from this screen through this play button over here. So if you play it, so far, this is our application where we have a scroll. We're able to use that filter function. So I'm clicking Sony, it shows me the Sony devices. By clicking Samsung, it shows me Samsung devices. And this was the checkbox that we just put in. We're actually able to go ahead and check and uncheck. So right there, we have made great progress right in our application, and we instantly can go in there and check it. Kind of cool, right? So let's go ahead and come back in here. And what we're going to do is that we're actually now going to put in a filter for our manufacturing gallery. So go ahead and make sure that you select your manufacturing gallery. And now that you have that selected, you're going to go into your default value. So once again, it is alphabetized to make it easier for you. You can always pre-type it in. And then your default gallery, we want to make sure that we are getting the first value. So let's go ahead and do our first function. And Intellisense will let me know, give me some ideas of what I'm going to put in here. But right there's my manufacturer gallery. Go ahead and close out your manufacturers. There we go. And go ahead and close out your parentheses. So now that you have in there, this basically will set it to the first item in the table. So that first item in that manufacturing's table. So our next step is that we actually want to go ahead and add an additional screen so that we can actually see these items that we've created. So let's go ahead and create a new screen. So what you're going to do is you're going to come into your home tab here. And you see how it says new screen? So we're going to go ahead and select. You can pick, it gives you some nice pre-populations, but for this demo, we're going to go ahead and do blank. So we're back to our, and we're going to go ahead and rename this so we know exactly what this screen does to compare screen. Awesome. So now that we have our compare screen name in, we're going to go ahead and put a gallery inside of here. So to do this, we are going to actually select the entire gallery from our main screen and actually put it in here. So let's go ahead and make sure that we put a button in first to take it to our compare screen. So go ahead back to your main screen. Right here, the tree view helps you see what's on each individual page. Coming into your main screen, let's put a button that navigates us to that page. So go into your Insert tab, go ahead and select your button. It instantly puts it up here, but we're going to go ahead and you can put it anywhere you want on the page, but I'm going to put mine down here so I can see. And I'm going to go ahead and change that button. I'm going to change the name of it first to my compare, to say compare. So to do this, what you're actually going to do is go into your text, scroll down the text. Right now, our text is just saying button, but we're going to go ahead and make sure that it does compare. So in our quotes, to get our button to say compare, instantly we do it in quotes, now it says compare, but I want to add an additional function to make sure that it's actually taking those compared items that I selected and taking it to the next screen. So let's go ahead and do count, and then we're going to do rows. We're going to do our compare list. Go ahead and close your parentheses, and then I need to have it my items, and I want this in quotes so it's displayed. And then go ahead and press enter. Make sure you have no errors, so we are good to go. So our next step is that we're actually going to resize this because it's kind of jumbled down here. But what you see is that it's actually compared the number of items. I want to give it an extra little space, additional space here. So I'm going to give it a space between items and a space between compare, just to make it look a little better. And as you see now, we have our nice compare this number of items. Right now, none are selected, so none are being compared, but this will show you how, on our next steps, how we get this to work. So let's go back into our button on our main screen here. So let's go ahead and select our button. And what we want to do is that we want to go into our display mode. So we're going to go ahead into display mode. Go ahead and select that from the top. Right now, it's doing an edit function, but let's go ahead and add a conditional statement. Well, basically, we're going to set the button so that it's disabled if there's no items in the compare list. So basically, we want to gray it out. So let's go ahead and do an if statement for this. So if we're going to use that count rows function again. Use Intellisense to select it. We're going to go ahead and use our compare list function. Go ahead and close out your parentheses. Space greater than 0. And then we're going to do our display mode. Populates it for us, and we're going to set that to edit. Then we're going to do another display mode. And then do display. So this way it'll gray out what we're not using, and go ahead and end your parentheses. So as you see now, since nothing is selected, the button is grayed out instantly. You see that down here. So now what I want to do is that I'm actually going to go ahead and copy and paste my control button. So the great thing about Power Apps, because it is drag and drop, you can actually copy and paste buttons, images, functions, all the things that you've done into your other screens on your application. So that saves you much time, a lot of time too, if you're really, putting in formulas and customizing things. So let's go ahead and copy our compare button. And press copy. You can also do a Control-C if you rather prefer that. And I'm going to go ahead and put it over here. Let's Control-V that. And then we're going to go ahead and drag it to the other side of the screen. And this time, I actually want to make this button clear my selection. So I'm going to go ahead into my text property. And now that I'm in my text property, I'm going to go ahead and actually change this to clear selection. So instead of doing compare all these different items, we're just going to go ahead and say clear selection. Clear selection. Now you see, now my button down here now says clear selection, but now we need to control some more of the behavior for this button. So let's go ahead and do the on select function so we can know what the behavior actually is supposed to do. So we're going to go ahead and scroll to our on select right here. Now that on select is actually checked, I want this to actually clear the actual data on that screen. So let's go ahead and clear my checkboxes. So let's go ahead and set this to clear, and then go ahead and put in the list that you wanted to clear. So that's my compare list, because basically when I check these marks, those are being stored in that compare list. And then go ahead and close out your parentheses. So now the behavior of this button is now on selecting, it will clear any of those check marks. So let's go ahead and make sure that, this button can actually navigate it. So I'm going to go ahead into my compare button here. I want to make sure that by clicking this button, it navigates to a new screen. So to do this, I'm actually going to come in here, and we're actually going to go to action and then the navigate. And we're actually going to go ahead and select navigate. And I'm going to do select transition to none, because I don't need it to do anything fancy. I mean, you can do it cover right, fade, whatever you want. I don't need a really fancy one, but I want to make sure that this button here is taking me to my compare screen, which is my next screen in my application. So right here, just by doing that navigate, it'll go ahead and take me to that screen. So just to show you this really quickly, I'll go ahead to make sure my behavior is functioning right. Let's go ahead and save again. Always good to save your work, and then to play. And by clicking this compare, and I love when my screen go ahead and freeze on me, but it will take you to that the next screen. So what we're going to do now is that we're actually going to go ahead and do some more changes to our compare screen. So by going into our user labels here, go ahead to our compare screen. Let's go ahead and add in a header to this screen. So what we want to do is we're basically going to just copy all of the different aspects from this screen to the next. So let's go ahead and copy our header label. You can either do, Control C, or you can left click and just copy. So I'm going to go to my compare screen. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Now I have my device ordering app label. The next step that you do, I want to bring in that username that's logged in again. So what we're going to do is go back into our main screen. By going to our main screen, I want this label here. I'm going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to bring that into our compare screen as well, just to kind of have some uniformity in the app. And when you copy it in, it actually goes to the exact place of where you had it at before. And then the next thing that we're actually going to do is that we want to get in that gallery. So I'm going to copy my device gallery. Okay. And by copying my device gallery, I'm going to bring that into my application. Great. Now I have my device gallery shown here. So now that it's on my compare screen, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller for this screen so I can add some more functions and details. I'm going to move it over here to the left. Now I don't copy paste. So you just go ahead and drag it where you want it, like how we did before in the previous steps. And now that it's over here to the left, I'm going to actually change my name here so it knows that this is actually a different gallery than the one before. So let's go ahead and change this to compare list. Great. So now you see that that updates to our compare list. And now it's time to configure this gallery. So now that we have this gallery selected, we're going to go ahead to our items. Right now it's doing the filter that we had set in the previous screen, but I want this to be the actual compare list. There we go. Awesome. So now this is going to display those items of our compare list. Right now there's nothing displayed because there's nothing checked. So now that this is copied over, if you want to keep the checkbox here, you can. You can also remove it if that's something you want to do as well. So now this will show the items, like I said before, that are selected from it. So let's go ahead and remove and add some more controls to the gallery. So we're going to go ahead and select our compare checkbox that's on our other screen. So come back to our compare checkbox. And we just want to really quick, I want to make sure that check this behavior, that it's still doing what we need to do. Awesome. And then go back to your compare checkbox on your compare list gallery. And what we're going to do for this behavior here is that we're actually just going to go ahead and delete this off the screen. So you can either cut it or you can just press delete and it'll delete it. So let's go ahead and control some more behavior for this here. So let's go to our title. And what we're going to do with our title, because we have nothing selected, but we're going to make sure that the text is actually going to be the manufacturer's name. So let's go ahead and change this to this item dot manufacturer. And I'm going to make sure that it's the manufacturer's name. Now that we have our manufacturer's name, we're going to go ahead and kind of let's change the colors and make it more bold and things like that. So to do that, go ahead and press your home tab. As you see, this kind of looks kind of like Microsoft Word. We're going to make sure that's bold when it is displayed, as well as we will also make sure that the size, we're going to make that a little bit smaller. That'll take it down to 18. If you want yours to be bigger, feel free. You 100% can. But I just wanted to also point out, like, even though I changed the font here size, even if you go to the size property on the drop down, you can also change the font by typing into the formula value. So that's also a way that you could do it. So just a couple other things that I want on this screen as well. I kind of want my this item.memory. So let's go ahead into the text function for so I'm going to go ahead into my text function. Scroll down, yep. Make sure text is selected. And then I'm going to want this to be this item.memory. Go ahead and select that. So basically what this is saying that it'll take it uses the scope. So basically what it will do is take the name of the ones that you selected and it will display that there. So the next part that we're going to do, we're getting ready to get into some of our template fills. So we're going to come to our compare list gallery. And I'm actually going to go ahead and to my template fill function. Go ahead and select that from the drop down. And coming into this template fill function, we're going to do another conditional statement like how we did before. So before, if you wanted to copy and paste it, you 100% can, or you can just go ahead and use Intellisense to kind of go ahead and type this in for you. Do our color fade again, and then we're going to go ahead and do our header label. There we go. And we're going to do our dot fill. And then we do the 75% again. And then go ahead and close out your parentheses. Perfect. And now you see, like, if it is selected, now we'll have some different colors here for our selected images. So now let's go ahead and add an icon just so we can navigate between the different pages. So let's say if we're here and we wanted to go back, this way your app user won't be stuck, on each individual screen. So let's go ahead and insert an icon. So go ahead and press your insert tab. Let's go ahead and go into our icons. So you can do from icons, you can actually have a lot of really cool ones that are already pre-populated in the tool. So you can do things like add, cancel, edit. So I actually want to do something that, represents a back button. So let's go ahead and scroll through here and we have back. So let's go ahead and select back. If you want to select, I'm going to go ahead and delete this because I accidentally selected it. But if you want to do just a back arrow, that's also something you could do. But I kind of like this circle one better. So go ahead and drag that to where you want it. I'm going to put it up here. And I'm actually going to go ahead and change the color just to kind of keep my theme colors and make that one white. So now that we have this selected, we're going to go ahead and make sure that we do the on select function so we know where it goes. Right now it's not doing anything, but we want this to go back. So we will literally use the back function and open and close our parentheses. So by doing this, that pretty much concludes on what we're doing. So let's get ready to kind of play our application and kind of see, how it works. So now that we have our compare list done, let's get ready to play this application. So to play this application, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to navigate to my main screen. I'm going to go ahead and press play. And now we're in our application. So let's make sure everything works. So let's make sure that when we click Asus, everything switches. Let's make sure when we click Dell, everything switches. When we click HP, everything switches. Gotta love the Microsoft Surface devices. So let's make sure that all switches. Lenovo, Samsung, so everything seems to be working pretty good. So let's go ahead and compare some. So now see how this lit up to our compare to. Awesome. So it's showing me my two different functions. Nothing's red, great, because it's not over $1,000. Let's go ahead and go back. Let's try, to clear this out. Great, everything cleared. Let's go ahead in now to Dell. Let's do some Dell. As you see, significantly more expensive than the Surface, but we're going ahead and do a compare here. Great. This is red, so it's over. So really easily, if you want to go back to your canvas, go ahead and press X. But really easy, this just kind of shows you that you can instantly go ahead and create an app. And I did this really quickly, but this is just a way that you can either pause me as you step through this, but it just shows you the power of a power app, pun intended, and how you can get started with building your own. I'll pass it back to you, Lex.
It's huge that you guys took the time to put this presentation together for us, and we certainly really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, Lex. Anything for our customers. Like me and Parker, we are customer obsessed, as Satya always says. So whatever, will help sell this platform and just show you guys the power of it. I think that's just our main priority here.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty neat. I mean, we've essentially, we've moved from a world where, you have essentially a text editor in front of you and you have to define everything, right?
Oh, yeah.
How big the screen is, where we're going to store stuff in memory, just crazy amounts of stuff that you had to define before you got to the point where you could actually start creating the code that actually performed the functionality that you were trying to get to. And I think that's the beauty of Power Apps, right? We can pull in data from sources that are common, right? Like an Excel spreadsheet, a SQL database, over 300 other endpoints, right? As Parker told us in his presentation. Mm-hmm. And we can essentially just design some functionality around that data, design a UI around it, and we have an application, and that's just awesome.
Definitely. It's a powerful tool.
It is. Yeah, I could see customers really getting into this, and end users too. We have these little discussions while we're doing these sometimes, and we were discussing a little thing that I'm involved in with some of my friends, and this just looks like it might be an awesome tool for helping us with something like that, right? And I'm not going to tell you guys what that is because it's top secret right now. But anything, really anything. I have a guitar collection. I love guitars, right? So I could build a Power App that helps me keep track of my guitar collection. It's just amazing what you can do with this stuff. And the cooler part about this to me is that we're taking something that used to really require somebody have years of school to create, and we've boiled it down to something that really anybody with just a few hours and a couple of ounces of enthusiasm can go out and create.
Yeah. And the great part too is with Microsoft Docs, it has so many resources, functions, explanations. So if you ever get lost, Microsoft Docs is very saturated with information. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And there is also a Microsoft learning path that you can take. It's called Power Platform Fundamentals, and it'll walk you through sort of a gamified training of how to get started with Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power BI. And I love what you said, Lex, about the citizen developer piece. There's actually a lot of really good stories on customers.microsoft.com. A couple that popped out to me, Autoglass. There was one of their technicians actually built a mobile inspection app that saved them about $1.6 million. And wow. Virgin Atlantic, they also built numerous applications for everything from luggage handling to customer service to, comping and upping people to first class. So the beautiful thing about the idea of citizen development is the people that are closest to the business problem now have the capability to build the solutions that they need, and then have it validated, extended, and potentially advanced by IT. And I think, especially with the pandemic, the way that things are, and our CEO said it best, is IT has never been more busy than it is right now. And so the idea that you can leverage these business users, these SharePoint developers, business analysts to build these robust applications means you can basically get more done with less. And that's really the idea of Microsoft, is empowering everyone to do more. So this is one of the ways that we do it alongside Teams and Office 365 and Azure. But some great stories out there about how citizen developers are really changing the way their businesses operate using this technology.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, guys, I can't thank you enough. I think this is going to be awesome. I think we're going to probably end up doing this in 2 episodes, but we'll post the links in the show notes so that everybody has the URLs. I'm going to throw together a slide so that everybody has the URLs. Parker, Anitra, thank you guys so much for doing this for us. We really do appreciate. And guys, that's your taste of Premiere.
Thanks for having us, Lex.
Thanks for having us. Bye, guys.
Wow, that was fun. Hey guys, if you want to learn more about Power Apps and you want to get some free training in, visit www.aka.ms/learn Power Apps. And if you need to download the documentation and data sources for today's class, that's the Word doc that steps you through things, and the Excel spreadsheets that we use as the data sources, please visit aka.ms/app-in-a-day. Thanks, and see you next time on Taste of Premiere.